Hello everyone, this is General Hand Grenade. Welcome to my war room in Prince George, British Columbia. Yes, that's right. Back home in the Great White North. They thought it was cold when I was in Oklahoma. They should come up here for for a weekend. It's a little bit colder up here, but at the same time it was pretty cold down there and there was some pretty icy conditions. So anyway, I really enjoyed my trip down to Oklahoma. Every part of it. Like the first part of it, I had a friend come and pick me up. VK Cowboy took me to Oklahoma City and we played a game of Global 40 there. Had a great time. It was the first time I got to meet him in person, him and his wife, and really nice people. And then he drove me back to Tulsa and I got to meet Doug and Will and all the designers that had flown in from around the world, around America, to design. There was 4 different games. There was on the first night there was 2025 Meltdown, which is almost done, and it was 1962, which was the very first time they put it down on a map, I believe. So they didn't even try playing it. Misha and Doug, they just sat there and talked about it, talked about what direction it would go and throw some ideas at the board and see if they stuck, right? And then the next day we did 1936. All of us took part in that. And then the next day we all took part in the new 1914 game. And that's a global game, not just a Europe game. So that was fun too, and that was revealing. But today I am going to just concentrate on 1936. I know a lot of you watched the live streaming of the event. Or at least part of it. I mean, it's pretty hard to sit down and watch 12 and a half, 13 hours of people when they're not remembering to move the camera around. In our defense, though, I mean, we weren't there to film something. We were there to develop the best game in the world, and you can't really do that when you're busy filming something. So you might have had the camera pointed in the same spot for 2 hours, and and it might not have been where you wanted it pointed. But the other thing is when you're live streaming, it's backwards. Like the whole map is backwards, everything's backwards, and so you don't really get a true sense of what it looks like. So I thought I would make this video, the very first video when I come back, just on the map, because I did bring that same map home, although this one is cloth, so you might see a little ripples in them here and there, because that's how I could get it home, right? I brought it home in a suitcase. I brought that in the 1914 map. But anyway, I wanted to give you a much closer look at the map, because you would not have got a very close look at the map like you would have had glimpses of it here and there, but it would have been backwards and everything. But we're gonna take a closer look and talk more in depth just about the map. No pieces on the board. So let's just pan around for a bit. Let's start over on this side. A couple of the things that are different, like there are a few new islands over here. So that's new. There's a couple of new islands over there, just in case somebody wants to do some island hopping. Here's the western part of North America here. And one thing you notice right away is that the bases are printed right on the map. And that's awesome, because I tell you, like the old game, or the current game, it's not the old game, it's still being played right now. The current game, it had 55 naval bases, and can't remember, something 30, I think 36 or 35 air bases. So just that alone was going to cost you $50 or $60 in markers, right? So right away you're saving money in markers, because all of the naval bases and the air bases, even, see there's an air base right here, they're all printed on the map. And look at here, see this is a bit of a crease here. But that's just because this is a cloth map. Now, bear in mind as you look at this, that this is not the final map. This is, I think this is better looking than the current map that we're using. But this, the new one is going to be even nicer than this one. This is just one that Doug printed off so that we could play test on it and get our opinion of, how it looked and everything, and what we might change about it, right? And I know that there's going to be a few things that change, and I'll talk a little bit about those today. Although I have to tell you though, I don't know exactly what's going to happen, because we talked about a lot of things, but And, you know, like we seem to come to some consensus about things, but that doesn't mean that those things are going to happen, because like Will he took a ton of notes, and he's going to take them home to the West Coast there, and then he's got to go over it, right? He's got to try to make all of that make sense, because, you know, one thing might sound like a really good idea. Here, I'll just move the camera around a little bit. One thing might sound like a really good idea, but in actual fact, you know, that rule is not going to fit with this rule or something. You know what I mean? So I can't tell you for certain what changes are going to be made and what aren't going to be made, but I feel fairly confident in some of the things that are going to be done. As you look around here, you'll see there's new territories. There's new names on territories, like the Great Britain here. That's 4 territories now just on this island here. Before there was only 3. But London itself is a city territory now. Before it wasn't a territory, or it wasn't a city territory. And that's one of the changes on this map, is that they used to have territories that were named after cities, like London, right? And they're not doing that now, although they missed a couple. Like here is Barcelona. That's the name of a city and also the name of a territory here, whereas it's not a city territory. So I'm not sure if he's going to fix that or not. But I think there's only 1 or 2 that he missed. And so like that one could be called Catalonia or something, right? In the end, we'll see. But I know I was confused before when it talked about cities. Like you figure for sure London was a city, but it wasn't. It was just a territory. So there will be no confusion in the next version. The city territories will all be round. And in fact, here, let me just turn my phone off so it doesn't keep dinging on us here. In fact, one of the discussions we had was about Tokyo, because you see over here, it's still not a city territory. And the question that was asked of all of us was, should it be a city territory? And we all agreed unanimously that it should be, because, you know, it's one thing just to be one of the largest cities in the world, which it is, but also it's one of the capitals of one of the major powers in this war here. So of course Tokyo should be a city. So I don't know now, does that mean that, that this is going to be broken up into 4 territories or something? I don't know. But we all voted and we figured that Tokyo was a city, whereas you see here it's not a city. So we'll see. We'll see what happens with that. Like I said, I don't know exactly what's going to happen. That's up to Will. So as I pan around, you can see there's a lot of different types of facilities, and I'll get into those in a minute. I haven't showed you over here in North America yet. And there's different types of terrain, like you see up there in northern Canada and in Greenland. There's a different type of terrain. We'll get into that in a couple minutes. And South America down here, that looks pretty darn cool. Yeah, there's lots of new stuff on here. And here's something that's new as well. This part right here. It used to be where you could get around Cairo. Cairo's not on there anymore because it's not a city territory, right? And it wasn't before either. So this is just called Eastern Egypt. And this here, this is all one territory. This is called Western Egypt. But this part here is impassable. So you have to go through Eastern Egypt to get around the impassable Sahara Desert. Here, let me just move this back here. So that Sahara Desert is still there. And to get around it, you have to go through Eastern Egypt, which used to be Cairo. And now let's just talk about this, these lines here. So this is impassable desert down here, and you knew that. But these lines here mean that this is also desert. This is not impassable, but here, what effect this is going to have on the game. And this is assuming that you play with the terrain features, right? Because terrain features like mountains and rivers and cities and all that, those are optional rules in the game. But as far as I'm concerned, I mean, I'm going to play them every single time because, you know, like if I wanted to play the other ones, then I'd play a much simpler game like Axis and Allies, right? I wanted more complex, and that's why I love the terrain features. So this terrain, desert, how it affects combat is that all attacking and defending vehicle class units, you know, like that's any kind of thing, like that's a tank or motorized or mechanized infantry, they're eliminated when they roll a 12 in combat. So you got a tank going out and dudes coming in here to attack somebody, and your tank rolls a 12, boom, he's dead. And that's because like the desert, it had an effect on machines, right? You know, so the machine itself didn't die. It's just, you know, like it's no longer useful. So boom, you take it off the board, right? So yeah, it just represents the mechanical breakdown and the stress of desert warfare, and also with movement. So all land movement is reduced to 1. And you can't blitz into, through, or out of a desert. So it doesn't matter what you're driving in. If you're on the ground, like planes are a different story. Planes it doesn't affect. But any kind of ground unit, they're only going to go 1 space. No blitzing into, out of, through, anything like that. Like here, that would be a bad example. Like here's one here. So if you were in here, you couldn't blitz down to here because you're not allowed to blitz out of a desert. And the same if you were down here, you couldn't blitz up here into a desert. It's just not allowed. So if there's desert involved, there's no blitzing involved, regardless of whether it's at the start, middle, or end of your blitzing, right? You would be able to move 2 turns if this was yours, because that's not blitzing. So if all 3 of these were British and you had a British unit down here, you could move all the way up to there. But if you started here, I believe you could only use 1. Because you're just coming out of the desert, right? So what else do we got? What other kind of features? Well, this one over here is cool. So there's not much of this on the board. There could be more. So there's like this territory here is called Amazonia. I don't think it was called that before, but anyway, that's what it's called now. There's not much of that on the board. I know there's some over here in Bengal and Burma. So that is called jungle, and how that affects the play. So in combat, all of the nation's Marines, as well as Japanese infantry, and a new unit for this version of this game is FEC Gurkhas. They get first strike in jungle terrain. Carpet bombing, like when you're using your strategic bomber to carpet bomb, usually you get 3 dice, right? So that's going to be reduced by 2 dice. So you're only going to get 1 dice if you carpet bomb into the jungle. And also, like if you had heavy bombers, that's normally 5 dice. So you take 2 dice off of that, you'd only get 3 dice carpet bombing into the jungle there. And as far as movement, all land units must stop when they enter a jungle zone or enter through a jungle border. Unless they're moving on a railroad, right? Then you can just keep going. Medium and heavy armor cannot combat into, through, or out of a jungle terrain unless moving via strategic rail. So you couldn't move. Oh, this was jungle too. So you couldn't move a heavy tank through any jungle through here. Okay. Oh, medium armor as well. So you could only take a light tank through there. So you can't roll a medium or a heavy tank through jungle. I missed that part. Unless of course you're on rail. And then also, if you want to build a facility in there, regardless of what it is, like it could be a factory or it could be an air base or some kind of naval base or whatever, that costs +1. So you just add 1 to the cost of building it. And normally, like a small factory, for instance, a minor factory, it would be 5 + 5. You always add that +1 to the first number, you know, so it would cost 6 to put it down and then another 5 to finish it, right? It's always that way. Then we have marsh. So let's just take a look at the top of the map up there, and it goes all along the top of the map. Like you'll see that it goes from one end of the map to the other, all the way over in northern Canada up there. So that would be marsh up there. Artillery and aircraft attack at -1 in marsh terrain. All land units must stop when they enter marsh terrain or enter through a marsh border. Heavy armor cannot enter marsh terrain. Units may not blitz through, into, or out of marsh terrain. And again, facilities cost +1. cost plus one to build in marsh. So, and again, it'll be on the first cost of building, right? And then I think that's it for the new stuff. Mountains haven't changed. Like if you know the game, then you know what mountain territories look like. So let's just take a look down here. I think the mountains look better on this map. Although like I said, this map is going to be enhanced as well, right? This is not the final draft, but you can see this is mountains down here. This is not mountains over here, right? And the rivers are really hard to see right now. That's going to be changed. Those rivers will be much more prominent when you see them on the new map. This is, like I said, this was just a map just to use to just to practice on, right? So one of the things that you can use the rivers for is tracing a supply path. Like you can use the railroads and you can use the rivers to trace the supply path. So that's kind of interesting. That helps out with the rivers. And supply path is really important in this game. It's how you give lend-lease, right? And so on the land, you can go by river or by rail. And notice with the rail, there's two different gauges of rail. Like you look at the railroads on here, and they're white and black. You can see them going all around in here, white and black. And over here, they're yellow and black. That's because that's two different gauges of rail. And that's also true down here in Spain. Spain has the same rail gauge as they do up in Russia there. Because historically, there was two different gauges of rail. What that means is that the railroad tracks were a different distance apart. I'm not sure. I think these guys' railroad tracks were a little bit wider apart than the other ones. But anyway, what that means is that you can't get on a train in Paris and end up in Vladivostok over here. Like you would have to stop at the Russian border here, and that would be the end of your train movement, and this would be non-combat movement, of course. And then you would next turn you would move into here, and then the turn after that you would have to take the rails to Vladivostok. That's assuming that you owned all of that territory, right? Because you only get to use the railway that you own, or that maybe your allies own, or that somebody allows you to use. But I mean, it's not likely that your opponent is going to let you use the railway, right? So that's the terrain features on the map. Let's take a look at the bases here. Now, you know what an air base does. Air base hasn't changed, but here, I'm just going to sit down, and what I want to do, let's pick the Mediterranean, because let's zoom in a bit so you can see these better. So here we go. So these things here, there are three different kinds of naval bases, and I just call them naval bases. None of them are called naval bases, okay? Let me just get to the right page on here so I don't make a mistake. I've got the instructions here. I just don't want to give you the wrong information. And again, remember, this could change, but because it already has. So you see the blue ones. All of the dark blue, whether it's that, or whether it's this one over here, or where's this one over here, those are all major ports. So this is a major shipyard here, and this is a major port over here. Look, it looks like a naval base. That's a major port. That's a major shipyard, and they look like the tokens that they had, right? Look like a picture of a crane on a token. But this one down here is new. This is called a major dockyard. So that one's new, and we'll go over it in a second. So then you've got your minor ports. Now those are all dark blue, okay? The major ports. The minor ports are the same pictures. So this would be a minor shipyard. This would be a minor port, and I don't know if we have a picture in the med here of a minor dockyard. I don't see one. But anyway, it would be this picture here, but it would be on white, okay? So that would be a minor dockyard. Anyway, so what those things do. Now, a major shipyard, and there's a few of them up here. So a major shipyard here. Now what that is, that's just your shipyards. They're just like your shipyards from the current game of 36 that we're playing. Same cost, 5, 5, 5, 5 to build. Take a maximum damage of 10. They allow your ships and subs to move +1. And remember, it's only your ships and subs. You can't use your allies' naval bases, any type of them, like you could in that other game, Axis and Allies, right? This game, you can only use your own. So even if say Germany is sitting here and this is an Italian port, then Germany doesn't get +1. Just the Italians do. That's it. So anyway, +1. You can trace the supply path through any of the ports. Any type of port that you see, major or minor, you could trace a supply path through. But some of them are limited, like we'll get into that. So Lend-Lease, you could give, sorry, Lend-Lease, that's what's limited. Tracing a supply path, yeah, I screwed up on that. Sorry about that. You can't trace the supply path through all of them. It's the Lend-Lease. That's what I meant to say. The Lend-Lease is limited, and I'll get to that in a minute when we get to the lower ports, okay? So in the major shipyard, again, you can build any kind of ship. So capital ships or normal ships, you can build 5 of them per turn, and you can repair a capital ship at a major shipyard. And it does have anti-aircraft guns. And they're if somebody comes to tactically bomb your shipyard here or your major port, then yes, you've got an anti-aircraft gun that you can't see. It's just inherent in the facility. So they will shoot back at any planes that try to bomb them. Okay, so then we can go to a major port. And here's an example of a major port right here. So that costs 5, 5 to build. That's basically your old naval base, like your regular naval base from before, right? And takes a maximum damage of 5. It makes your ships and subs go +1, and again, only yours, not your allies. You can use it to trace the supply path. You can use it for Lend-Lease. You can't build ships there. There's no building ships at naval bases, or at, they're called ports now. There's no building ships at a minor or a major port. And you can't repair your capital ships there. You couldn't do that before either. And it does have an AA gun. So basically the same as your naval base from before, except you can't build any ships there. So a major dockyard, and that's this one down here in Malta, as you see. You see the things around here. That just represents the fact that there was a fortification here. So even the fortifications are drawn on your map for you. So you wouldn't need to buy fortifications if you don't want to. I guess you would, because I mean, if you want to build fortifications, you know, you're not going to whip out a pen and start drawing them on there, right? Anyway, let's get to this. This is the new base here, the major dockyard. So that costs 552 to build. So that's $12 as opposed to the major port, which is 10, and the major shipyard, which is 20. Maximum damage of 6 on there. You do get your movement bonus, so +1 for ships and subs. Yes to supply path, yes to Lend-Lease. You can't build anything at a major shipyard. Shipyards, what they were for was for repairing things. Now, you can fully repair a capital ship at a major dockyard, okay? And it also has AA guns as well. So if somebody tried to bomb your major dockyard, they couldn't. So then you get your minor bases. Let's take a look over here. Okay, we got a couple in here. Oh, we got all 3 of them in here, don't we? So here is a minor shipyard here. So there it is. Okay, so minor shipyard is a 555 to purchase, and if it was in your home territory, obviously this one's not in anybody's home territory because this one is in Spain. But say if you had a minor shipyard like these ones here, this one here in Italy, Italy could upgrade that because it's in their home territory, right? But you couldn't upgrade this one here because it's in Spain. So that one you couldn't upgrade, but normally you could pay an extra 5 to upgrade it. You can take a maximum damage of 8. But I'm not going to go any further with that because I I think I'm pretty damn sure that this base is going to be kiboshed. This base here is going to be turned into a major port like this one here. And the reason for that is we talked a lot at great length, if you were watching the video, about capital ship damage. Now, what was supposed to happen was that at a major shipyard, you could repair 3 D6 of damage at a major shipyard. And at a minor shipyard, you were only supposed to repair 1 D6 of damage. But we took a vote on that, and we talked a lot about it, and decided that we didn't like it that a capital ship had 2 D6 of damage. That was just too much money to pay. I started that conversation because I've never liked the fact that it costs 2 D6 to repair a capital ship. I love this game. I think it's the best game I've ever played. But one of the things that the thing that I don't like the most is that I spent a lot of money and time and effort acquiring units and meticulously painting them and getting them ready for the game. And then you find out when you start playing the game that you don't have as much money as you did in the old game. You know what I mean? Like there just isn't that much money in this game because you're starting in 36 when people are not at war. And the incomes don't seem to get as high as they do in Global 40. So already you have less money to spend in this game. That's one of the reasons that I put the POW camps in as a house rule, because you could make an extra $3 that way, up to $3 or $4 a turn that way. And so that was helpful. But having to pay 2 D6 of damage, like you might get lucky and roll snake eyes, and it only costs 1 to repair your battleship. But then again, it might cost 12. You might roll boxcars, right? And have to pay $12 to repair a battleship. I really didn't like that. For one thing, I liked the fact that in a strategic game, you're pitting your mind against the mind of your opponent. And if you leave everything, absolutely everything in the game, open to chance, the roll of the dice, then really, I mean, how good is your strategy against their strategy? I don't know. Like it's just going to come down to the rolls. Who got luckier that day, right? Whereas if you can eliminate some of that, and my idea is something that I tested before, was that you could eliminate the D6 rolling for the capital ship damage. Instead, what we decided to do, and that's assuming that Will decides to keep that rule that we talked about, is that you see in when you get your tables or the tables that you have, like for instance, a battleship costs 5, 5, 5, 5 to build, right? Well, you're going to take the first cost of that battleship, which is 5, and that will be how much it costs to repair. So heavy battleship, I'm not sure how much heavy battleships are going to cost, but it could be that it's 7 to put it down, right? 7, 6, 5, 5 or something. I don't know. Anyway, so you'll have to pay 7 for a heavy battleship. Say it's a fast battleship. Fast battleships that might start at 6, 6, 6, 5, 5 or something like that. Well, then it'll cost you 6 to repair that fast battleship. A fleet carrier, that is 4, 4, 4 to build a fleet carrier. So it would cost 4 to repair a fleet carrier. Anyway, that's what I like, because, like let's say you get out in the middle of the ocean there, and you're trying to decide, you're in the middle of a big battle, so you need to decide, okay, I've got to take 5 hits now. Am I going to damage my battleship? Or am I going to take off a cruiser? Am I going to take off a sub? It depends on where you are on the board, how far it's going to take you to get back to a shipyard or a dockyard to repair it, and what kind of units does your opponent have that can stop you from doing that? Like, are you going to win that battle in the first place, right? But also, is there somebody that can stand in your way of getting back to that shipyard and dockyard? These things are going to weigh on your decision of whether to take damage on your battleship or whether to lose a sub, for instance, right? It might be better off taking damage on your battleship, because you need another hit from your sub in the next round of combat. Then again, your sub might be deemed expendable depending on the situation, and you could use your take a hit on your battleship. So your battleship will roll -2. Before it was -1. It's going to be -2 now. So a battleship will go from 8 to 6 in attack and defense. Anyway, I just like that better, and everybody agreed that that would be a better thing to do. So these minor dockyards, their purpose was to repair 1d6 of damage. I think that they're just going to kibosh these, and that you'll just get this picture here of the major port instead of the minor dockyard, because there will be no difference between. Well, I'm sorry. They're like, you'll just have the same damage every time, and you could only repair it at a major dockyard or at a major shipyard, right? So moving on. That's your minor dockyard. Minor dockyard. So a minor shipyard now. Oh, sorry, that's a minor shipyard. But you know what I mean. I was talking about a minor dockyard there. That would be this one up here, right? So this one's going to be gone, the minor dockyard, and replaced with this one up here. Sorry about that. So it's the minor shipyard that's still going to be there. And I'm just taking a look here. So for a minor shipyard, you can build 2 ships per turn. So major shipyards, you could build 5. Minor shipyard, you can build 2, but they can't be capital ships. Now, in case you haven't noticed from what I just said there, a shipyard is the only place where you can build a ship. A major shipyard, you can build 5, including capital ships. A minor shipyard, you can only build 2, and they can't be capital ships. So you have to have a shipyard of some kind in order to build a capital ship. There, that's better. And then it says you could repair damage with that up to 1d6 per turn. I assume that what they're going to do is say, yes, you can just repair your ship there at a minor shipyard, the same as you could with a major shipyard, because that's not something we talked about. We just talked about the minor dockyard, which is this one. So that one's going to be kiboshed, and that's going to become a minor or a major port. So as far as minor ports go, so that would be these things here. These things are not really that useful for very many things. They're not going to let you go +1. In fact, none of the minor bases, none of the white bases at all, are going to help you go +1 in your movement with your ships or your submarines. Only the dark ones, the blue ones, are going to help you go like this one here. Only the blue ones are going to help you go +1 in your movement. The white ones, no. So a minor port is it only costs $3.2, so $3 one turn, $2 the next. So it's very inexpensive. It does not give you the movement bonus, like I said. You cannot trace the supply path. And as far as Lend-Lease, you can only Lend-Lease 3 IPP through there. So that's it. It's just 3 IPP. And the same with all the other ones too. Like minor ports, minor dockyards, or sorry, won't be a minor dockyard, minor shipyards. You can only Lend-Lease -3. So the minor ports are of all kinds are much less useful than the major bases. What you really like is the blue ones. The white ones are just going to help you out a little bit, but not much, okay? And then you got your submarine bases and your seaplane bases. Those are not going to change. Submarine base, you can build up to 2 submarines here. Let me just see if there's still a submarine base over here. Yeah, there it is. So there's your submarine base. So you could build 2 submarines here. Actually, I'm not even sure about that. I should have asked them about that when I was there, because you don't have a factory there. Like, even though you have the naval bases that could, yeah. Good question to ask them. Anyway, so those are the bases. Those are the new bases. And sorry if I was a little screwed up there when I was telling you about them. Now, there's a couple of other things on here that are new. I'm just going to walk up to the other side of the table because I can't really reach from here. I love the big map, but it's not so good for reaching when you don't have gadget arms, right? Go gadget. Okay, so these things here. You see, I'm trying to get it in my picture here. I'm not used to having it zoomed in like this. Oh, there it is. Okay, you see these things right here? You're going to be able to not walk across them, but like Marines can move across them. And there's a number here. Let me see. I don't have my glasses on. I think this one's 3 and this one's 2. Either that or this one's 3 and this one's 2. I don't have my glasses on, so I can't see. So you'd be able to move, let's say this one's 2. You'd be able to move 2 Marines across here. If you owned, actually no, you don't even have to own it. You could move them across there and take that if you wanted. You can move 3 across here and take Picardia if you wanted. Just Marines though, okay? And then of course you'd fly planes in or whatever, right? So if you own both sides of it, then what you can do is you can move other types of units across in a non-combat move, okay? But first you have to take it with the Marines. So there's these 2 places here. Where else is, I think there was another one. Oh, here, down here in Sicily. You see that? There's another one right here that looks like a 2 on that one. So you can walk across there. Another new thing here is the St. Lawrence Seaway on this map here. Let me just zoom back out a bit up here. Okay, right about there. So you can actually sail up the St. Lawrence Seaway now and get into here. I'm not sure how useful that would be. In fact, I don't know if that'll be very useful at all. You never know. Like 1 out of 100 games, you might see somebody sail up there and attack Chicago instead of, or go to the Great Lakes here, attack the Great Lakes region instead of attacking New York or Washington. That'd be interesting to see that happen. But anyway, that's something that you're going to be able to do. And for all you Canadians out there, you can see, they fixed Canada. We have our country back. So Labrador is where Labrador is supposed to be. And Newfoundland is where Newfoundland is supposed to be. And St. Pierre Island, which is this tiny island that most Canadians don't even know about, off the coast of Newfoundland. I think it takes like 20 minutes to get there on a boat. It's just a little fishing island. That's still, to this day, it is French. It's not a territory of France. It's, what do they call it? It's a colony of France, St. Pierre Island, even to this day. So when World War II, like when France was liberated, when Paris was liberated, they gave them an option. They let them vote on whether they wanted to stay Vichy or become Free French, and they voted, and they decided they were going to be Free French. So I guess they just didn't want to get invaded. But anyway, Quebec is back to being Quebec again. I think on the old map that was Labrador, and coming really, really soon. In fact, I think it might even be in the mail right now. Is a new expansion set that's not even on the website yet, and it's like Canada at War or something. I'm not sure what it's called, but it's anyway, it's the Canada expansion set. So look for that. Doug is sending me 2 of them. One of them is going to be mine, and one of them is going to be a prize for one of you. And so what have we got up here at this end of the map? I don't think there's too many surprises up at this end of the map. Like you'll notice that the territory names have changed a bit, right? This used to be Stockholm, but that's not going to be a city territory now, so that's not Stockholm anymore, right? So those are the kind of things that, like this one used to be called Helsinki. Again, where it's not a city territory, so they're not going to call it, or no, this is Helsinki here. So that should have been changed to a different name then. And here you'll see this is all, what is that? That's marsh there now. So that's going to be even tougher to get through Viperi there. You'll still have that thing there. But this looks new. I don't think there was a shipyard in Eastern Germany before. And you notice that these names are different now too. This one used to be called Munich down here. And this one used to be called Stettin. So they've changed the names on these German territories here. And let's just move back. I'm just going to go slowly so you can get a really close look at territories. They did not print on the map factories, because factories are different, of course, right? Like, you know, like if, say that you had a major factory in Moscow, and then Germany comes along and takes you out here. Well, then that goes to a minor factory, right? So what are you supposed to do? Erase that and draw a little minor factory on there? So yeah, factories aren't put on there. You'll have to put your own factories on still. But all the other bases are on there. So factories are probably the only facilities that you'll have to put on, I think. So, and then I think this stuff over here is pretty normal, or the same, I mean, as what it was before. I just love the colors of this map though. Like, they're so much richer and everything. And you can see the mountain territories better. And like I said, the real map when it's put out is going to be even nicer than this one. So that's just going to be awesome. I'm really looking forward to it. I'm not sure if any of the names of these islands have changed. Like I said, there was new islands put in, and I've showed you some of those. I'll just keep going slowly over the board. You notice they put a minor dockyard there, so I guess that'll probably become a major port. Lots of minor ports on these islands here, probably for Lend-Lease. There's a sub port or sub base here. Notice this we couldn't help but notice that an air base on Sumatra. So that makes Sumatra worth something, doesn't it? And you notice here in Malaya here, they got the little black dots around it, so that's the fortifications in there. This is, I thought this was new or something, Nepal here. It's just a different color. I like that color in there. You can see some of it's hard to read, but that's not going to be like that on the new map though. These are just, it's going to be enhanced for sure, and the rivers are going to be enhanced. So just slowly moving around the map. Don't know if you'll see anything else that I missed that is different from the other map. One thing, like you look down here, they've got a counter that goes all along there. They're going to get rid of that, because I mean, you've already got like you already get something to count incomes, right? Here, let me just get this back there. There we go. Actually, I could show you. I don't think these, yeah, these aren't the final ones, but I'll show you what they've evolved to this point. Let me just whip them out here. So there's the new check chart. No, it's tech chart. So all the same here, up to 13, and then 14 and 15 are new. Heavy battleships and heavy carriers. So there's 2 new techs there, and there might even be one more by the time they're done. We'll see. So there's that, and then here, this is not much to see. It's, you know, like it's a nicer picture than before, and it's more colorful. I noticed though that it goes to January 1948 now. Before it cut off here at the end of 45. So that's interesting that it goes on further. Anyway, so because you have this chart here, then you obviously don't need these down here. I think it doesn't look right. Like it doesn't enhance the look of the map with those on there. So I think it's a good thing that they're going to take them off. Anyway, get rid of these. So that is the map. And some of the new things on the map. Like I said, I probably forgot some of it. But there's a couple more things I want to show you. First of all, there's this. Let's just take a look at this over here. I was wondering what these would look like. So there we go. This is Historical Board Gaming's chipset. Doug and I were talking about this a few months ago, talking about what kind of chips you needed and how many and everything. So there's a 25 chip, I believe, and it's not in here. So if you get a set of his chips here, there's 100 of them. So you don't need to buy 2 sets or, you know, a set and a half or whatever. Like when you buy a set of his chips, you get all of them, all that you're going to need to play this game. And of course, if you got enough to play this game, then you got enough to play any of those other games. Anyway, they're pretty nice. It's the first chance I got to see them. I seen them on the website, but they're heavy and everything. Like they sound like real chips. Love playing with chips. People either love them or they hate them. Me, I love them. Anyway, he didn't have a set made up, otherwise I probably would have brought a set home. But one of the things that I didn't know was that they make all of their own stuff at Historical Board Gaming. Like they'll get a really big sheet of, you know, of yellow, what's that plastic called that they make the things out of, you know. Like this stuff here. Really big yellow sheet, and then you'll see a whole bunch of 4s printed on there, right? And other numbers, and then they've got this machine that cuts them all out and everything. But anyway, they make those, they etch these themselves. They make a lot of the things that they make. They design and they make them in-house. Like I thought that they just, you know, that he would just email some other company and then they would make them for them. That's not the case. They make all of their stuff themselves. But anyway, these chips are a really good set of chips. So, last thing. Now, we were just about to leave Historical Board Gaming, his warehouse, and he's, General Hand Grenade, go get a bunch of prizes for your viewers. So, I didn't know what to grab, right? Anyway, so I'll show you. Since we're doing the map today, we'll give you some stuff to put on the map. Now this stuff here, these things here are great. I'll show you how I use mine. Let me just get this up here and here. You wonder, what is it? What is it? Anyway, this is the good set too. These are the task force markers. You might have seen these on my videos, or maybe you've seen them on the website. These things are great. So this is what I've done with mine. You can do whatever you want with yours, right? Like here is, what I did was I glued a battleship onto mine, right? And then I put a flag on there. You see the flag on there is the same flag that's on the bottom there, right? And then here is the units. So what I'll do is I'll just put these off to the side here. Like if this is in the Pacific Ocean, then I'll put that up there. So right there, you see there's my task force marker, and there you go. There's where all the ships are right there. But you don't need to glue them if you don't want to, right? You could just, like, this is what you're going to get right here is the little thing there, and that's what I've got. That's what I'm showing you. The only difference is that I've got a battleship and a flag glued onto there with a finishing nail. So the ones that you're going to get, this is the good set. This is the big set. So there's the 2 American ones. There's oh, hang on, that one's mine. See, the other one is what I did is I took an American guy, I cut his gun off, and then I glued him onto the land chip there and put a flag on. It's the same as the flag there. And then you put a bunch of dudes in here, right? Okay, so there's an American one, there's a Japanese one for naval, there's a Japanese one for land, there's a British one for naval, and there's another British one for naval. Here's a couple of German ones for land. And there's an American one for land. And what else we got? We got France. Oh, there is a UK one for land. There you go. So that would probably be on Great Britain. Now these things work great for any type of map, right? Any type of game. Not just this game, but I tell you, these things are awesome, especially in this game, I find, because the city territories, like you couldn't make a city thousands of miles wide, right? And you wouldn't want to do that. So that what happens is your city territories are quite small. So if you have a chip on them like that, and then you put all your units on here and to the side over here, right? Then you can fit all your units in the map there. And what I like about these especially, Like I've seen people use, you know, they've got cards and things like that, and anything will work, right? But what I like about these is that they're hard. So you can't really do this very well with a card, but you can pick these up and move them, right? They're not going to fall on you. They're easy to pick up because like they're thick, right? So you can pick them up easily, pick them up, put them down. But yeah, they're not going to bend or anything. Like you can pick them up quite easily, just like that. So there's those things. Now that's a pretty sweet prize, courtesy of Doug. But there's also this. Let's move the camera over here. We're going to give you 2 prizes in one here. And this is courtesy of Doug, like I said, and yours truly, General Hand Grenade. Now this is a new product. You might have seen these on the website. They've been there a little while, but not forever. So these are damage markers, and they've got numbers on them. And these are great because, here, let me just grab, just want to grab a round up here. These are great for doing damage on convoy lines. There we go. So, like you look at the convoy line here. The British can take 6 points of damage, the French 2, the Italians 1. So, but the thing is, like you can't damage a line for more than it is, right? So you could take a 5 and a 1. Okay, we've damaged the British as much as we possibly could, and so that's what the Germans did on their turn, right? Now it's Italy's turn, and they go do some convoy raiding. They can only put 2 more points of damage on there. Like they could only damage the French 2. They couldn't damage the British anymore on the same turn, because this convoy line could only take that much damage on that turn. And the same with any convoy line. Like this one can only take 3 points of damage from the British player. That's it. This one, 6 points of damage from the British player. That's it. And so you kind of need to keep track of that, so that 2 nations don't come in and raid the same convoy line for more than it's worth. And that's why these things are good. And there's also some that don't have any damage on them. I'm going to throw those in because you could always put a capital ship on there if you don't have the really big orange markers that we use. So you don't have to flip your ship over. You can just put it on there, or you can use it for any type of damage. I don't know. Like a lot of people have house rules. You could put these things under factories. Anyway, I just grabbed a whole handful of them, a selection of different numbers and things without numbers and everything. I grabbed them on one of the bins there. And that's going to go along with your task force markers. So things to go with the map. Anyway, so that's your prize there. So what we're going to do is leave me a comment in below. And normally I let this go for about a week or so, you know, but not this time. We're going to change it up just slightly this time, and I'm going to say tomorrow at 4 o'clock my time. I'm on Pacific time, okay? So tomorrow at 4 o'clock, I'm going to close the contest. I'm going to take the names, and I'm going to make a video, and I'm going to be announcing the winner tomorrow night. So depending on what time your zone you're in, it'll be probably tomorrow night because I'm in the West Pacific time zone. So anyway, this is going to be a really quick contest. So you if you're waiting to watch my video, you waited too long. Like if you waited till Monday when you had some time to watch it, tits up for you, because this contest is going to be lightning fast. Anyway, that is the beautiful new map as far as it's gone right now. Again, not the final product. Final product will be even nicer than this. Gonna love it. So take care, everyone. General Hand Grenade out.